Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have a phenomenal producer right here live on the line, man. This individual has worked with countless legends, and right here, right now, we got the one and only West Coast right here live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, what's good with you, bro?
Oh, man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Just, I just taking this heat wave down here in Canada, man, one day at a time, man. It's been a scorcher down here, going about 90 to 100 degrees.
Yeah, Vegas is burning up too. It's like 100+ degrees out here.
I don't even know if I'd be able to survive with that type of Vegas heat, man, because I've heard horror stories about Vegas heat, man.
Yeah, it goes down, but it's all cool, you know.
But I want to take you back to the beginning of your amazing career, man. And I just have to ask, what actually made you decide to get into the whole music industry in the first place, man? What sparked your legendary career?
You know what? Actually, I'd have to go all the way back to when I was in high school. Like I was interested in music when I was in junior high and middle school, but it wasn't until when I was in high school, in Compton, California, at Centennial High School, alma mater of Kendrick Lamar and DJ Quick, Problem. You know, I was there involved in the band, and one of the producers, he was a drummer at the time, a cat by the name of G1, super producer. He produced a couple hits from R. Kelly, a lot of stuff on DJ Quick, and a few other people. He was interested in working with Quick, so he asked me to come down to the studio in Hollywood, and I came down, and it kind of like got kicked off from there. You know?
And I gotta say, man, that's actually phenomenal. That's so early on at the very beginning of your career to be able to be there with DJ Quick, man. That must have been a surreal moment for any hip-hop fan, especially an inspiring individual that really wanted to make it in the music industry, man, because Quick is a phenomenal producer, man, so you definitely learned from the best at the very beginning.
Yeah. Like, it was like school. You know, like I was already, in high school at the time, but it was like school. Every time I would go to the studio, there was never a day that I went there that I didn't learn something.
And the one thing I have to ask, because I don't want you to give away a whole bunch of game, man. But just being so young in your career, man, what was one of the most inspirational things you actually took from that recording session with DJ Quick, man? What was one of the first things you actually learned from him?
You know what? The best thing that I learned from him, it wasn't necessarily one of the first things, but it was the best thing that I learned from him, which is to be a student of your craft. Like, if you're going to be a doctor, like, you never stop learning if you care about what you're doing there in the medical profession. There's always something for you to learn. There's always someone for you to learn from. So that's how I approach music. I never approached it like, oh, I already know how to play. I already know how to record. I already know how to rap. I already know how to write. I always approached it from, yeah, I do know how to do this, but is there a way that you can show me how to do it that's probably different from mine? Or is there a way that you can show me how to do what it is that you're doing? So that way I then become the student. Like, though I know, I still wanted to be the student and soak up as much knowledge as I could, and that was one of the most pivotal pieces of information that I learned from Quick ever.
And also, man, taking you back to January 3rd of 2006, you actually dropped a 15-track record titled The Coast Is Mine. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners what the story behind this phenomenal record, and of course, is it still available to be streamed or purchased today?
Yeah. It is very much so. That one, it was like a joint venture. So I never wanted to be like the artist on like the front line kind of thing. So there was a few individuals that were really integral to me that were Hispanic. So what I did is I did a joint venture where I produced all of the music and engineered everything for a certain sound, and just put one of the guys as the front runner for all of the lyrics. was a wonderful, wonderful time that we had doing that. Like, it was a lot of fun because at the time, even though I was assumed that, like, you know, the name West Coast and everything was taken, it wasn't, oddly enough. Like, even though the West Coast was popping, nobody wanted to go by the name West Coast, and that's what everybody was already used to calling me. So we put that project together, put it out in '06. That was real cool, and a lot of fun, and which made me think about, you know, looking into doing other ones, you know, somewhat in the same facet, but you know, something similar.
And I gotta say as well, man, my favorite joint off that record is actually Certified Loco, man. One of my absolute favorites out of those 15 tracks.
Yeah. Like, cause a lot of the stuff that people don't know, as far as me as a writer, I try to have conversations with whoever the artist is that's going to be performing it, so that way, while I'm in the midst of writing and putting the songs together, that I'm able to embody who they are as a person, so that way the songs will sound true to form to them, their life, and their experiences.
And also as well, you are actually the current owner and CEO of S. McLean Music Group, man. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a bit more about your company, and of course, what services do you actually offer to the general public, and of course, how can they actually go about inquiring about those?
Okay, so this is a kind of like a cool story. So one of the first jobs I ever got musically, I was hired by the late, great Terry Carter, which was the owner, operator of Heavyweight Records. And now Heavyweight Records had signed to them Ice Cube, Dub C, what's his name? Short Chop, Shaquille O'Neal. They had like a lot of heavy hitters. And at the time that I came on board, Terry was showing me how to make a company, so that way when I was hired musically for individuals, that they could hire my company instead of me filling out an application and myself working for their company. So it'd be a company to company or business to business transaction versus someone hiring me as an employee. So he walked me through all of that stuff, and I actually created my DBA then and started having him. He did a joint venture with this company called TVT. They managed and signed the Eastsiders and did the deal with Doggy Style Records. So that's how I got in with the Eastsiders, through Terry Carter. Me and another producer friend of mine, Terrence Martin. And we worked with them. And then while I was working with them doing musical stuff, I would still go to Terry and get business information to help flourish my education as far as my company was concerned. So just recently, I reincorporated a branch of my company out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. But it currently, my major corp is grounded out of California, Southern California. And we offer services such as recording, obviously production, mixing, mastering, and we deal with distribution because we currently have a running contract with Universal Music Group.
And I have to ask as well, man, is going back to when you actually brought up Shaquille O'Neal and whatnot, man, did you ever have the opportunity to run into him back in the day, or was it just, was he there before you got there?
He was there before we got there, and that's when they were working on the Twism soundtrack. But after I got there, that's when we produced the record on him, written by Peter Gunn, produced by Quick and G1, and I was like involved. But we did the song, I Like Playing on the West Side, even though I miss playing on the East Side, which was a phenomenal song. Technically, Shaq at that time, and actually I want to say to date, is probably the only athlete to go into music and go platinum and be successful in both ventures.
I gotta say that, man, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, like that was a cool time. And even then, like in the video, you'll see Peter Gunn's in the video. Like, people don't know why people are in the video at that time. They just thinking it's cameos. But it's Peter Gunn from New York. He's in the video, sitting in the lowrider with them, and dancing around in the hotel. And you'll see my buddy DJ Quick and the homeboy G1 in the video. And though I was there at the shoot, I never was one to be in the camera or on all in the pictures and stuff like that. Another thing that I kind of picked up from Terry is it's a great thing to be respected and a great thing to be known, but not necessarily the best in most instances to be seen. That way you can do what you came to do musically and form those relationships with everybody, but not necessarily have to broadcast it. Now nowadays, 2021, it's like if they don't see it on camera, it doesn't exist. But like back in those days in the '90s, when we kicked it all off, like, I appreciated being able to know these people, but still being able to go out and grocery shop and go to the mall and go to the amusement park and not being bombarded by fans and stuff like that. Like, that was very much appreciated.
And also as well, man, February 8th of 2010, you actually released another amazing record titled Back to the West. I have to ask you, what was the inspiration behind that phenomenal record? And of course, for the old school fans, do you actually have any hard copies available that they could purchase? I know it's about over a decade old record, but I know sometimes individuals have some stacked away in like the garage or something like that.
Yeah, I did a print of those. I want to say I should still have them, but I'm pretty sure I should still have like a couple of prints and stuff like that. I even have vinyl of that, but that came together when I was in the midst of going to Hawaii. One of the people that we did a lot of work with was a Hawaiian native, an artist by the name of Fiji. He's a singer. And he's actually from Fiji. But one of the records that we worked with him on was a Tyrese record called How You Gonna Act, where Fiji wrote the record, and we sent it over to Tyrese, and Tyrese made it world known. It went triple platinum. That's far as I know. It's probably more. But since Fiji was in Hawaii, I chose to move out there and work with a lot of the Hawaiian artists. So I ended up working with him, other artists that were signed out there in Hawaii, that were Hawaii specific. Laga Saveas, Kavini Vital, CLC, House is Down, Kaloi Kai, J Boogs. There was quite a few artists out there. And in the midst of doing so, they liked the stuff that we were doing mainland. So I chose to put together a project comprised of individuals that I had worked with that were like writers back in the States. And then I did one feature at the end from one of the oldest running and most well-known Hawaiian artists that was out there on the island. He's 1/3 of a group called BET. And that artist is he goes by the name Papa T. So we did a song in commemoration and Thanksgiving to like Hawaiian and Hawaiian people, especially the Hawaiian women. We did a song called All Right Here.
I gotta say, man, me personally, I love Hawaiian music, man. So I definitely have to go back and actually check out that phenomenal joint.
Oh yes, that's a good look.
And also, as well, man, you have actually had the opportunity to work with Corrupt of the Dog Pound, man. I have to ask you, how did you guys actually get connected? And of course, what was it like being in the studio with one of the best West Coast lyricists of all time?
Well, the Corrupt thing happened. Like I said, I worked with the Eastsiders for quite some time for their second and third album. And then while working with them, a lot of our recordings somehow started at a place called the Doghouse. which was out in Diamond Bar, and everyone was there. So there was Snoop there. There was other producers like Battle Cat, Jelly Roll, Fred Wreck, and like all the other cats, Terrence Martin, Marlon Williams, like, but in that soiree of musical individuals were also the Cocaines, the Daz Dillingers, the Corrupt, and me and Corrupt kind of clicked. You know, he liked Quick a whole lot, and I ended up talking to G1, and we set up something where G was able to proctor a situation for us to do a Quick and Corrupt album, which was called Blackout. We recorded that at the studio, at our studio in North Hollywood, off of Warham and Cahuenga. And I also inducted John B. on that same project, and Problem from Compton. And then I think everybody else Quick got, like Lazy Bone and a couple other people. But while we were working on that, me and Corrupt had a lot of FaceTime outside of the Snoop squad. So we got a lot closer there, because with some people it's more than music. You know, they want to know who you are, where you come from, what do you think, like, you know, your ideals and stuff like that. And me and Corrupt saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff.
And I gotta say as well, man, it must have been a surreal moment for you as well, because obviously at this point you've been in the music industry for a long time, but to still being able to, you know, actually produce for Corrupt, man, must have been a surreal moment for you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like it's one thing because at the same time I wasn't really that old. Like I came in as a teenager, so in my, I don't want to say the highlights of my career, but in some of the highlights of my career, I was still young. So I was working with the people that I was listening to, you know. So I was, on my leisure time, I'd be listening to their stuff, hanging out at the beach with my friends, and then would go and be able to see them. And they say hi, we have dinner. You know, some of them, we have like real relationships, like with Quick and G1. Like we'd spend the holidays together. It'd be Easter at their house in the valley, you know. like life is cool. But that's kind of like a surreal thing when you think about it, you know, to be listening to and a fan of the music of individuals that you have their phone numbers and you can call them and they're going to come and they want to spend time with you just as much as you want to spend time with them, and they want to work and do music and stuff. That was always cool.
And also as well, man, so when we're on the producing West Coast artist topic, man, you have also done a substantial amount of work with 1/3 of the Dub Shack, C-Night. I was wondering, how did yourself and C-Night get connected? And of course, I do know that you actually produced his most recent record, so I have to ask, man, what was it like just actually being able to work alongside him on his brand new record?
You know what? That was like... that honestly, I couldn't even put that into words because I grew up, you know, being in Compton, Long Beach, you know, South Central, like all of that, Southern California. Like that's the music that we had. So that's the music that I'm listening to. So I grew up on Summertime and the LBC and all the rest of that stuff. So when he caught word of me, because he's from Long Beach, just like the East Siders are, and one of the East Siders, one person out of the East Siders, a group of East Siders, Go D-Lo, had me very highly recommended me to work with C-Night. So when C-Night was able to track me down, he wanted to work with me about as much as I wanted to work with him. So we decided that it's probably time for him to do a solo project. He had been wanting to do a solo project. He's been trying on a couple different facets to create a solo project that embodied him and the kind of music that he liked to put out. Because he is older than I am, he wasn't looking to put out music that sound like the young guys of today. He was looking to put out music that's true to form to who he is and what he represents. You know, so it just so happened that we were on the same page, and that's what I believed in him. I believe that aside from him being a platinum, selling artist, that he should put out music that's true to form to who he is. and that's comfortable to him. Like, he should want to listen to his music that's brand new and created, and feel just as nostalgic as he does about summertime in the LBC. So we try to make sure that we embodied that with the records that we did, even leading off with the single Long Beach that he has. It's a feel-good record. It's something that makes you want to be happy. Like, you want to be smothering ribs with barbecue sauce on that song. So it's just a blessing, and even with that, like, we have talked with major music and event coordinator and promoter Bobby D Presents in conjunction with Uncle Snoop's Army, and he has two really big events coming up, very recent. One is Once Upon a Time in L.A., and the other is a 3-day venue that's going to be out here in Las Vegas called Lovers and Friends. And C-Night is on the bill for each one of those events, and many more to come. So that way that we can help push the envelope on him as a solo artist, not negating the Dove Shack, but, him as a solo artist. And so that way people can get back to music that just makes you feel good when you listen to it.
I gotta say, I most definitely agree, man. I really enjoy C-Night's new projects as well, man. Like, he still has that sound and vibe that he had back in the 90s as well, when the first Dove Shack record actually dropped.
Yeah. Like, and another plus to this is his group members are in agreement with it. There's a lot of times where one person out of a group decides to do something without the other group members, and the group may not necessarily be on board with them stepping off on their own. Whereas both of his group members, Bo Rock and Two Scoop of the Dove Shack, are both in full support of him and his solo project and this venture that he's doing with. And I'm very, very appreciative to the both of them, and to Warren G, which is the individual that found them. He's the reason that they were discovered.
And also as well, man, December 16th of 2020, you actually released one of your most recent singles titled Saucin, that was actually featuring Bluminati the Don, man. I was wondering, what was the creative process behind that amazing song? And of course, what was it like just being in the studio with Bluminati?
Well, Bluminati is an artist signed to C-Night on the Dove Shack under his label, Big Nuts Records, and he has had like a realistic journey through life and music that I wanted to be able to embody. And as a gift to C-Night, I told him that I would feature him on a song to give him a single. So we did a song, and we did a dual release of it. So there's a version that's under me that says featuring Bluminati the Don, and then there's a version of the same song that says by him featuring me. But the vibe of the record, honestly, I've been listening to Bluminati rap for quite some time, thanks to C-Night. And me and a co-producer of mine, which is a younger friend of mine that I acquired years back when I was doing volunteer work at a youth center in South Central Los Angeles, called a place called Home, which was a youth center that had programs for inner city youth to help pull them in off of the streets into a safe place where they could develop trades and gifts that they could use in the professional world. So there were kids that were there learning sports. There were kids that were there learning graphic design. And this kid by the name of Bobby Crump was in there, and I was kind of mentoring him and teaching him stuff in the recording studio that they had there at a place called Home, under the direction of Catherine Goldwyn from one of the Goldwyns, MGM, the Jeep in MGM, I say. But her running that program garnered all of these students, and he was one of a handful that I took under my wing and started to work with and teach and tutor. And that was during around the same time while I was doing a lot of work with Snoop and the East Siders and Doggy Style Records and stuff like that. So I just reached back to him, and together we produced that record musically, and then I added everything else to it, and then incorporated Illuminati. I just thought that it was a good fix, you know, like the mixture was right.
But also, I have to ask, man, because obviously, you know, we only touch base on like a sliver of your legendary career this evening on the radio station, man. But is there anything we happen to miss? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves this evening?
Actually, probably the newest artist that I have that I'm currently working with, which is an artist by the name of Jamison. He came to me kind of oddly because he's originally from Minnesota, but he's been in Las Vegas for quite some time. And you know that Vegas is very, very known for its shows, but not so really known for breaking artists or emerging artists from, you know, the streets and the musical undertone of Las Vegas. But he had so much charisma and so much style and so much drive that I just, you know, I had to work with him. So we've been working, and he has a single out right now off of his latest EP called Getting Money. And that song is hot as fish grease. We recently did a deal with a friend of mine over at Bungalow Records and with my plug at Universal Music Group. So he's currently distributed through Universal Music Group, a UMG artist. But we're doing a lot of stuff with him as an artist and looking to do even more, you know, because other than the group 702 and Neo, like those are the only artists that are really out that are from Vegas, you know, so to speak. So it'd be great to, you know, give Vegas another one.
And also, West Coast, man, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give, like, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated everything West Coast if they're not already doing so.
Okay, well, you know, I'd like to give a shout-out to my bros in music, you know, G1, DJ Quick, the East Siders, even my late brother, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. We worked together for about 7 years of his career. Give a shout out to him and his family and condolences. Give a shout out to C Night, obviously, and our relationship and our ventures. A shout out to Universal family, Bungalow Records, Paul Ring. And then a shout out to two more of my constituents that are dealing with me in this music game. One of which is Terrence Martin, and another is DJ Rogers Jr., which is most commonly known for his song Doggy Style on the Above the Rim soundtrack, but more so known for his writing ability. He wrote Shame for Tyrese, he wrote Summer Rain for Carl Thomas, and quite a few other hits, you know. But if you out there want to get in contact with me, Instagram is probably the best way to get contact of me, and my Instagram is at left.coasta. That's left.coaster. And that's pretty much my handle on almost everything, I think. Left.coaster. It only changed like within the past couple of years because I had West Coast as it, and my Instagram got hacked like so many other friends that I know, and I had to change it. So my new one now is left, left.coasta.
But I gotta say,
and also a shout out to you guys over there at Outlaw. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is very appreciated. I'm very appreciative of the fact to be able to have these talks with you guys and be able to share my story with you guys, and also be able to share you guys with my fan base.
Hey man, I gotta say you are most certainly welcome, man. It's always an honor. Me personally, I love giving roses to like just the producers, man. A lot of individuals sometimes forget about the producers, man. But if it wasn't for people like you, where would the music really be? Because at the end of the day, you're the behind the scenes individual that puts everything together and makes it sound phenomenal the way the music is supposed to be.
Off top, you know. You got to give the drummer some, you know.
But I gotta say, first and foremost, West Coast man, thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening, man, and taking over the 97.7 FM airwaves, man. It definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege.
Oh, thank you so much, you know. Thank you so much. And for everybody out there that's listening, if you're involved in music, keep music and the musical culture alive, you know, and remember this if you don't remember anything else from our interview. If you are a lover of music, if you're a connoisseur of music, then you should also be a student of music. Study your stuff. Make it your craft.
And I gotta say, man, that right there is most definitely some phenomenal free game, man, that I think everybody should listen to and actually take.
Off top.
But I gotta say, man, hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon, man. But for now, man, definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there in Las Vegas.
Oh, you too, bro. You too.
Most definitely, man. I definitely will try, man. Thank you so much, Wes, and definitely have yourself a wonderful night.